Alright y'all, welcome back to another turkey pattern test video. We're out here with a very highly requested gun again. That being the Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag. And the choke we're going to be running is that Kicks Gobblin Thunder 680 constriction, which has performed very well so far out of this gun. This gun as a whole has performed fantastic so far with everything we've put through it. Now, if you don't know, those 835s are overboard to the size of a 10 gauge barrel, which is supposed to help patterns, and so far I think it does. But it definitely, something about this gun produces a little bit more recoil than your typical 12 gauge. I don't quite know why or what it is, but it's definitely a noticeable thing out of these 835s. But as for the shell we're going to be shooting today, it's something a little bit different. You think 835, you think big, hefty 3-inch, 3.5-inch shells. Well, I've still got one more of these Salt Creek 12 gauge 2 3/4-inch shells. These are 2 3/4 ounce and 5/8 of number 9s, going 1200 feet per second. These shells have performed very well so far out of everything we've put them through. So I'm really excited to see what it can do out of this 835 with that Kicks 680 choke, since that setup has been lights out so far. And I got to give a huge thank you to the guys over at Salt Creek Ammunition. They've been fantastic to work with. They reached out and wanted me to pattern some of their shells, and they have really performed. So if you're interested in the Salt Creek stuff, definitely go check those guys out. I would highly recommend them. And another thing I've noticed about these Salt Creek shells, well, not necessarily even the shells, but the boxes themselves. Normally, you guys probably know how difficult it is to open an ammunition box. A lot of them, you have to kind of pry them, and you end up ripping the tabs off of them, and they never go back closed properly again. Well, that's not an issue with these Salt Creek boxes. Whatever you guys are doing over at Salt Creek, keep doing them, because these are extremely easy to just pop right open on the ends, and they go back closed perfect. That's been the case with all of the Salt Creek boxes that I've used. So that's definitely an interesting positive about the Salt Creek stuff. But hey, if you got a nice box that's easy to open and close and get your shells out, that's a positive in my book. But as per usual, we've got the bench set up over here. It's going to be 40 yards from the turkey target. So let's go put these 2 3/4-inch Salt Creek 9s through this 835 with the Kick 680 choke and see if all three pieces of the setup jive like I think they're going to. Alright, we're back at the bench set up at 40 yards. So let's put these Salt Creek 2 3/4-inch 9-shot through this 835 Ulti-Mag with the Kicks 680 Gobblin Thunder choke and see what they can do on the paper. Okay, so here's what we got on the paper. It's really interesting because everything else I've ever shot through that gun has always shot pretty much dead on. So this particular shell definitely hit to the left, noticeably more than some of the other shells I've shot through it. But it's a pretty nice pattern. You have a really nice and even core right over here to the left of this bird. And even though you do have a couple flyers over here, your pattern, 95+% of it is right there. That's absolutely a deadly pattern for a turkey. There are no voids in that pattern at all where a turkey's going to walk through it until he gets all the way on the very outskirt edges. I mean, you can see I was definitely 6 inches left of that bird, no doubt, but he's still a dead turkey. But that just goes to show, pattern your gun with the shells and the choke that you are going to hunt with, because that shell and that choke out of that gun shot to the left, which is unusual for that gun. But I like that pattern. I like what I see, even though there are a couple of flyers. This core area right here is definitely a good pattern, but it's not so screaming tight that you wouldn't have any leeway in at closer ranges. That's definitely a good hunting pattern in my book. Alright, well, what do you guys think? It definitely shot to the left, which is unfortunate. I was hoping that'd be center, but that's why you pattern with the load and the choke out of the gun that you plan on hunting with, because everything shoots a little bit differently. But that's definitely a good hunting pattern in my opinion. There is nothing at all wrong with that, not one bit. That is absolutely a turkey killer out to 40 yards, and probably a little bit farther than that as well, although I don't like to push it past 40 personally. That just goes to show how good of a setup those Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mags are. And so far, that Kicks 680 has been lights out with everything we've put through it, I believe. So definitely seems to be a pretty good setup that we've got going on there. And the Salt Creek shells have performed fantastic as well through pretty much everything we've put them through. So a huge thank you to those guys. Definitely go check those guys out if you're interested and you like what you've seen so far out of the Salt Creek shells. I definitely recommend it. But what do y'all think? Do you like that pattern? It's definitely a good pattern in my opinion. You do have a couple of flyers right around the outside edge, but your main part of the pattern is all right there. That's definitely a turkey killer, undoubtedly. So again, huge thank you to the Salt Creek guys for sending shells out, and huge thank you to all you guys who watch the videos and comment. I love reading through them. Comment down below and let me know what you think or any suggestions about anything. I love reading through them and trying to answer them as fast as I can. Keep them coming because I really do enjoy going through them. But it is 85 degrees and 1,000,000% humidity out here in the beginning of April for whatever reason. So I think I'm going to leave y'all off there. Let me know what you think about it. I definitely like what I've seen out of those shells and that choke and that gun so far. And don't worry, I've got more patterns coming through that gun, both lead and TSS shells we're going to put through it. So stay tuned for those. But I'm going to head back inside for the afternoon before I melt out here for whatever reason in April. So with that being said, I'll see y'all in the next one.